Okay, good morning. Assalamualaikum. Good morning, everyone.
Morning,
Morning.
madam.
Okay, all right. Okay, morning. Uh, yeah. Currently, there are only 12 of you out of 33, not even half of the class. I don't know where they are. I suppose, when you're in your hometowns, with this kind of weather, it rained this morning. Right, so I guess you feel, I don't know, I use the word lazy. Mm, Wake up. Okay. It's already 23 minutes past 8. Uh, hmm. Should I just wait for a few more minutes? I think I'll wait for a few more minutes until the others are here. Let me just post a message in the WhatsApp group. Hopefully the others will join us. 15. Not even half of the class. Is that? Okay, it's already 30 minutes past 8. So I think I'll have to start. Okay. Half an hour already. 29, 30. All right. Now, last week, right, and the week before that, right, uh, in week 7 and 8, right, you had your first assessment, which is the informal meeting or discussion, yeah? Right. Now, the next assessment that you'll be having is the formal meeting, and the formal meeting is going to be conducted in weeks 12, 13, and 14. Okay, so what I will be explaining today would be what formal meeting is, right? And a little bit on the second assessment. I think I will just explain briefly about the second assessment. But I think what's more important is that I need to explain to you what formal meeting is all about. Um, yeah, currently there are 16. I guess you people are in your hometowns, yeah? Mm, yeah, this is the this is the downside of having an online class. And yeah, I think when having online meetings, this would be one of the challenges. All right, now well, for the second assessment, as I mentioned just now, it's going to be a formal meeting. And just like the first assessment, you will have to form a group of 5 to 6. Okay. You can stick to the same group, or if you want, you can form a new group. Now it's up to you. It's totally up to you. Right. So form a group of 5 to 6 uh, for the second assessment. And well, just like the first assessment, um, the situations will be given on the day of the assessment. There are going to be, well, slight differences, yeah, between the informal meeting and the first assessment and the second assessment. I mean, there are some differences, yeah, whereby for the formal meeting, there will be some procedures that you have to follow, and um, the for the second part of the, well, it's just like the first assessment. There are two parts. The first part, you will be involved in the formal meeting, and then the second part of the assessment, you will have to write, not email anymore. You're going to write what we call minutes of meeting. So yeah, those are the differences. Yeah. So when it comes to formal meeting, when it comes to formal meetings, there's certain procedures that you have to follow before you discuss the main issue that will be given on the day of the assessment. And then once you're done with discussion or the formal meeting. The second part of the assessment requires you to write minutes of meeting. So, yeah, that would be for the second assessment. Yeah, and this time around, we are going to start early on the 12th. I mean, in the assessment will start in week 12. So two groups in week 12, two groups in week, since there are 6 groups, yeah? So two groups in week 12, two groups in week 13, and two groups in week 14. Yeah, so the assessment will be, well, you'll be having it face to face. You'll be conducted in class. So it's not going to be an online assessment. And each group gets around 1 hour for the assessment, just like the first one. Um, the first half an hour would be allocated for the formal meeting, and then there's another half an hour for writing the minutes. So it's around one hour, 1 hour and 10 minutes actually, 1 hour and 10 minutes. So yeah, so we can have only two groups, yeah, in week 12, 13 and 14. All right, so yeah, it's going to be conducted face to face. It's going to be held in class. So you have to come to the class for the assessment. All right, so that's a little bit about the second assessment that you'll be having. So today, what I will be doing is that I will be explaining to you what formal meetings are, right? And what exactly is it? And for that, I think I will have to share my screen with you. Oh yeah, and another thing is, after the break, after the special break, so from week 10 onwards, yeah, from week 10 onwards, it's going to be face-to-face classes, no more online classes, right? So week 10, week 11, right? And then until week 10 and 11, we still have classes, right? And then 12, 13, 14 will be your assessment, right? See if I can do this. What am I doing? Let me see. Okay. All right, so this is what we are going to discuss today, since you're going to have it in week 12, yeah? Right, now formal meetings. All right, So we will be looking at the main features of formal meeting, informal meetings. Well, for the first assessment, when we had your first assessment, um, it was an it was an informal meeting. Yeah? So an informal meeting, you don't have to follow certain procedures. So, after greeting one another, then you start discussing the main issue, right? You started discussing the main issue or what, the main purpose of you having the meeting. So that's what happened when you had your first assessment. So it was um there were no procedures that you had to follow, right? Um, but for the formal meeting, um, like I mentioned just now, there will be certain procedures that you have to follow before you can discuss the main issue. Um, Formal meetings are common in any organization, right, or companies. Um, just like at my faculty, we have, formal meetings like we have regular formal meetings, or we have formal meetings regularly. One example that I can give you is the academic meeting that we have at the beginning of each semester. So the academic meeting that we have at the beginning of every semester is considered as a formal meeting because there are certain procedures that we follow before we discuss matters pertaining to um, the staff and the students. Um, so I will explain to you what the procedures are later. So what I'm trying to say here is that formal meetings are conducted regularly in any organization or companies. And the formal meetings are more structured and organized than the informal meetings. And formal meetings are more appropriate for situations where there's a need for detailed discussion, decision making, or accountability. So um, I'm not saying that when you have formal meetings, you don't have detailed discussions. You do, but when it comes to formal meetings, I mean, they're more structured, they're more detailed. Yeah. So these are okay. So when do we have formal meetings? When making significant decisions that affect the company or its employees, when there's a need for discussing a problem or situation in detail, when presenting or reviewing information, when asking for a clear and concise discussion about a subject, and the negotiations are taking place. When there are important matters that need to be discussed, and you have to make important decisions that affect the company and the staff, right? So that's when you have formal meetings. Yeah, like I said just now, at my faculty, we have formal meetings regularly. And the purpose of these meetings are to discuss matters pertaining to the staff, pertaining to the students. We have what we call not just academic meetings, but uh, meetings where we present results, yeah, examination results. So those are considered as formal meetings, right? Um, So these are the main features of formal meetings. Of course, as I mentioned just now, there are rules and procedures that you need to follow, right, when you are conducting formal meetings. For example, the chairperson. Okay, now when you have a formal meeting, obviously there will be what do you call that? People who have certain positions that will be attending the meeting, and these people or members, they have uh, certain responsibilities, right? For example, you have the chairperson, and then there's the secretary, right? So the chairperson. So when you have informal meetings, you don't have what we call a chairperson. But then again, and then the next procedure would be matters arising, so on and so forth. So which means that there are established procedures that you have to follow, established rules that you have to follow, right? So there's an agenda that you have to strictly follow, right, when it comes to formal meetings. And there will be written records of previous meetings and the current meeting. So as I mentioned just now, there will be members with certain responsibilities. So there's one person called the secretary who will be the secretary is the responsible person, the person responsible in writing the minutes, right, of the previous meeting and also the current meeting. So written records, there will be written records of previous meetings, not just, previous meetings, no matter how many meetings you've had so far. So there will always be written records of, the earlier meetings, the previous meetings, obviously. And then the current meeting that you are having, the secretary will also be responsible in writing the minutes. A minute musyawarah, yeah? And then when it comes to formal meetings, as I mentioned just now, there will be, specific or certain people who are invited to participate. So like, like the academic meeting at my faculty, well, since it's an academic meeting, all the lecturers are are required to attend the meeting. When it comes to the presentation of the examination results, then those who are required to participate would be the resource persons for each subject, for each code. So at my faculty, and I'm sure at your faculty as well, for each code, right, for each subject, there will be one person called the resource person, who will be responsible in handling uh, matters pertaining to that code, to that subject. So that person is called the resource person. So when it comes to the presentation of results, yes, students' examination result, the presentation of examination results at my faculty, the ones required to participate will be the resource persons. Okay, so formal meetings, well, usually there will be a specified membership who are invited to participate. Just like, in UITM, I'm sure there are clubs and societies, right? So, when you have, let's say, so for each club and society, there will be the president, there will be the secretary, the treasurer, the vice president, and other exco members, right? Executive committee members. So, you are, sometimes you have meetings, and when you have these meetings, those who are required to attend the meetings would be the executive committee members. That would be the president, the vice president, the secretary, the treasurer, so on and so forth, right? So, yeah, that's what it means here, usually a specified membership were invited to participate in these. There will be a specified members uh, who will be, attending the formal meetings. Um, I think this one is just basic, yeah, basic principles of interacting in formal meetings. And it's just not, I would say, it's not just for formal meetings. I'm sure these basic principles also apply to informal meetings as well. Um, Necessity, right? Well, obviously, it's necessary for us to have the what we call the formal meeting to present the examination results for each group. So it's necessary. Towards the end of the semester, before the new semester begins, right? After you've had your final examination, after all the lecturers have marked, the test papers and keyed in all the results, then there will be a presentation of the examination results for each court. So it's necessary. So that because it's necessary to look at the performance of the students for each court, so on and so forth. So there is a necessity for conducting the meeting. And just like the academic meeting that I mentioned just now at my faculty at the beginning of each semester, it's necessary to have the the meeting because the dean, right, who is the chair of the meeting, he has some what do you call that information to be relayed to the staff, right, the lecturers. So it's necessary. Um, and then also, the dean has some, some probably some important matters to be discussed with the staff. So it's necessary. It's well, every semester at the beginning of the semester, we have the academic meeting, to discuss, like I said just now, matters, important matters pertaining to the staff and also the students. So there is a necessity to hold to conduct the meeting. And then the rest of, I think, it's just basic, basic principles. I'm sure you all know about this, like being punctual, and then clarity of purpose. Before you attend any meeting, informal or formal meeting, you need to know the purpose of the meeting. So before attending the meeting to present the results, the examination results, we will usually get the invitation, right? Or what we call the notice of meeting. And then in the notice of the meeting, it will be stated the purpose of the meeting. And then usually you will get an email, email through the notice will be sent through email. Yeah. So when we get the email, we will know we will know the exact purpose of the meeting. Right. Dress professionally, rapport, speak loud enough. I think these are the basic principles of any meeting, not just formal meeting, but informal meeting as well. Yeah. Right. Actively listen, participate, take turns speaking. These are all basic principles, yeah. Timing. Yeah, I think usually at the beginning of the meeting, the dean, when we have our formal meetings, when we have our academic meeting, sorry, the dean would usually mention, okay, well, the dean would usually mention how long the meeting is going to take place. So sometimes we say, yeah, this meeting today is going to be until 11 a.m., right? So we will have this meeting for about 2 hours. So, Ya Allah, Al-Shadu. What's 9 o'clock? See who's here today. Okay, all right. So, timing, and then ask questions at the appropriate time. I think you know this, Raya. You know, if you want to ask any questions, then usually the chair, right, would ask members, you know, if you have any questions before he wraps up the meeting, right? So that's the time when you can ask any question. And another basic principle would be attentive to your nonverbal cues. Try to avoid the following habits. Especially if you are having the meeting in the meeting room where the chairperson can see everyone, right? Everyone is visible. Yeah? So you might want to avoid these habits because it can be distracting to the others, right? Um, yeah, and can be considered as not being attentive during the meeting. But when we have our academic meeting, I mean, my faculty is quite big because we are a servicing faculty. We have our own students, but at the same time, we are also servicing the other faculties, right? So my faculty is quite big. We have a few departments, uh, the English department, the Bahasa Melayu department, the Japanese department, you know, that we have Japanese lecturers, we have Korean lecturers, we have French lecturers, German lecturers, right? Arabic lecturers. So it's quite big, my faculty. So when we have the academic meeting, it's usually held in the auditorium. It's a big hall, right? The auditorium, right? And so, um, yeah, I mean, the auditorium can accommodate like more than 100 people. So it's quite big. And from where the chair is standing or sitting, yeah, the dean, he might or might not be able to see you clearly, especially if you're sitting at the back, right? Um, so even though your chair is not able to see you clearly, but the thing is, you definitely need to be attentive during the formal meeting, and then you should avoid these habits, obviously. And the chair would be responsible in uh, summarizing, um, the key decisions made or whatever key points that you discussed during the meeting. So I think it's important that the chair summarize all these, yeah, so that everyone knows about, whatever decisions that you've made. Right. Um, these are some of the terminologies associated with formal meetings. like I said before, right? The formal meeting is slightly different from the informal meetings. And so when it comes to formal meetings, there are certain terminologies that you need to be familiar with. And these terminologies, yeah, right? You will be using some of them during the formal meeting. Now, the first one is agenda. Now, agenda, I think everyone knows what it is. An agenda would be a document which lists the topic to be discussed. So when you have your formal meeting, you must prepare an agenda and you must strictly follow the agenda that you have prepared. And the agenda is usually prepared by the secretary. Sorry. The agenda is prepared by the secretary after consulting the chair. So when for your second assessment, you need to prepare the agenda, and you have to strictly follow the agenda. I'll show you what the agenda looks like later. And then the next one is adjournment. Probably you have heard the word adjourn before. Adjournment basically, towards the end of the meeting, the formal meeting, before the chair closes the meeting. So a common phrase that you can use is something like this, yeah. Right, thank you everyone for attending this meeting today. Right, the meeting is now adjourned. Now, adjourned here means it's postponed to another day. I mean, now we are done for the day, right? This meeting, but we will be meeting again somewhere. I mean, we are going to meet again in the near future, basically. So adjournment here, yeah, is a break in the meeting before all of the agenda items have been covered. So meeting is adjourned, meeting is closed and postponed to another date, right? The next meeting too, then you're going to mention when you'll be meeting next lah, yeah, when you're going to have the next meeting. Sorry, when you're going to have the next meeting. So yeah, so probably it's going to be the following month, or it's going to be the following, I don't know, probably the following week. Well, it's up to the it's up to consensus, right? Agreement of the members. So that's adjournment. Amendment would be any changes, right, that you make. Because it's a formal meeting, so everything has to be done formally. So if you want to make any amendments or any changes, then you have to propose. You have to propose that the change is made and that it has to be seconded. Seconded meaning someone will have to support that proposal, and then we take a vote on it. So yeah, it's a formal meeting. Therefore, like I said just now, everything has to be done formally. So even if you want to make any changes, right, you have to do it formally. And the changes that you're making is called an amendment. I mean, if it's an informal meeting, you wouldn't have these terms, right? You wouldn't have to be doing it formally like this. Especially when you talk about organizations or big companies, right? Big organizations, when you have company meetings, AGMs, AGM of the company, annual general meeting of the company, right? Everything has to be done formally. So it's a formal meeting, right? So Amendment is just basically a change that you want to make. Let's say during the AGM, there's a certain clause in there's a certain clause in one of the regulations that you want to change. So you have to do it formally. So if you want to make any changes, then it has to go through the procedure, right? There has to be a proposal and then a seconder, and then you have to put it to a vote. That's just how it is when it comes to formal meetings, right? Okay, now AOB stands for any other business. So when it comes to formal meetings, like I said just now, there are certain procedures that you have to follow. So procedures here would be the agenda, right, that you have prepared. So you have to strictly follow the agenda. And one of the items in the agenda would be special business. And then after special business, it's called any other business. So any other business here means that you can discuss anything, any matter that is not related to your special business. Now, special business here, special business, well, the special business would be the reason why you called the meeting for. Is to discuss. Now, the main reason you called the meeting is to discuss your special business. Okay? Any other business would be any matter that is not related to your special business. For any formal meeting, right, the main purpose of you calling for the meeting is to discuss your special business. That's the main feature of the formal meeting. Anything that's not related to your special business, you can discuss it under any other business. So any other business is just one of the items listed in your agenda. Now, ex-officio members, well, okay, yeah. Let me just, I think there are some terms that you don't need to know, right? Because I don't think that you'll be using these terms. Like agenda, adjournment, amendment, AOB. I mean, these are the terms that you are going to use in your second assessment. But ex-officio member, I don't think that you'll be using this term, right? So I don't think you really, I mean, I really need to explain it in detail. So basically, that's what it is here. Ex-officio members will be individuals appointed to a committee by virtue of the office they hold, rather than by direct appointment or election. So for example, when you have your club meetings, right? When you have your club meetings, so usually the president, the vice president, the secretary, the treasurer, and the other executive committee members, right, will be attending the meeting. But you can also invite, let's say, what's the name of the advisor, right? The advisor for the club. The advisor for the club. I mean, the advisor, what do you call that? Individuals appointed to, the advisor is an individual appointed to a committee by virtue of the office they hold. They are not directly appointed, right, or elected. They are not elected, your advisor, but they are your advisors. I'm sure for each club in UiTM, or each society, each club in UiTM, there will be one advisor, right? So the advisor is not directly, the advisor is not elected, but it's more of appointed by virtue of the office they hold. So when you have your meetings, your formal meetings, you can invite the advisor to attend the meeting, right? So that's an ex officio member. Your advisor is known as an ex officio member. Matters arising. Matters arising would be, this is a standard agenda item, referring to items from the previous meeting's minutes that require further discussion or clarification. So I'm sure you have heard of this before. In Bahasa, we call it hal-hal berbangkit. Right? Hal-hal berbangkit. So after discussing minutes of the previous meeting, the next item in the agenda is called matters arising. So matters arising here, now you have to know some of these terms, because you will be discussing them. I mean, matters arising is one of the standard agenda item. You must have this, when you have your second assessment, right? You will have this item in your agenda, matters arising. So this is where, you can refer to the minutes of the previous meeting, and you want to ask for clarification, which means to say that this matter was discussed in the previous meeting, but you want to ask for clarification, you want to ask for, let's say, you want to, want to have further discussion, about that particular matter, you can do so under matters arising. Hal-hal berbangkit, all right? The next one is minutes. Now this one refers to minutes of the meeting. Basically, minutes of the meeting refers to the document recording whatever the goings on of the meeting. So the secretary usually prepares the minutes of the meeting. So when you have your second assessment, right, I think you will need to appoint not just the chairperson, you also need to appoint the secretary, for your group. Okay, so minute mesyuarat lah, basically it's minute mesyuarat, right? Minutes of meeting. So we are looking at the document that records the goings on in the meeting. Right. What are the terminologies that you need to know? Yeah. Okay, so this is the last one. Motion, well, like I said just now, since it's a formal meeting, therefore everything that you are going to do, say if you will make changes, so it has to be done formally. So motion basically is a formal proposal. Yeah. A formal proposal that is discussed and voted on at a meeting. So whatever proposals that you want to make, so it has to be done formally. Like for example, you can use this phrase, I propose that. Right? I propose that the let's see, I propose that the event be held on the 30th of June 2025 at Gender by Faham. Okay? So that's a formal proposal. And when you make any formal proposal, there must be a seconder. So someone will have to say, oh, I second that motion. I second that. So a motion basically is a formal proposal made, and then that formal proposal will be discussed and will be voted on at the meeting. Okay? You just need to know that, Laya. Motion is a formal proposal. Point of order. So basically, point of order, let's just say that, during the meeting, let's just say, the discussion has gone off track. You're not discussing what you're supposed to be discussing. So it has gone off track, the discussion. So, if you realize it, I mean, you are one of the members, right, attending the meeting. So if you, notice that the discussion has gone off track, then you can just point it out to the chair and say, point of order, meaning to say that, you want to, what do you call that? You want to make, you want to point it out to everyone that the discussion has gone off track, so you need to get back on track, right? So you need to discuss, matters that you should be discussing, not go off track. Yeah. All right. So that's point of order. A proxy. What is a proxy? Basically, a proxy is someone acting on behalf of a person who is unable to attend the meeting. So if you are not able to attend a meeting and you know it's an important meeting, like for example, an AGM, yeah, annual general meeting. And during annual general meeting, usually there will be an election of new board members. So like new board members or new board members. During AGMs, there will be an election of new office bearers. Okay. And you, as one of the members, you are not able to attend the meeting. So you send someone on behalf. You send someone to be your representative. Yeah. And that person is called proxy. And that person has the what do you call that? And that person also can vote on your behalf. So a proxy is just that, someone acting on behalf of a person who is unable to attend the meeting. So if you are not able to attend a very important meeting where there will be voting of new office bearers, so you send someone on your behalf. And that person has what we call that, and that person can vote on your behalf as well, right? That's a proxy. Quorum, I think some of you might know what a quorum is. A quorum, well, it refers to the minimum number of members or delegates required for a meeting to proceed. So let's just say, for the society, let's say the debate club. Let's just say the debate club in UiTM. You have a debate club in UiTM, right? And the executive committee members, there are 12 executive committee members consisting of the president, the vice president, the secretary, the treasurer, and then the other executive committee members, right? So there are 12 of them in that committee. So a quorum, for you to have a meeting and for the meeting to be considered as valid, there must be a quorum. You must meet the quorum. Let's just say, I think usually it's 2/3. If I'm not mistaken, it's 2/3. All right, so which means that there must be at least 8 members who attend the meeting. At least there must be 8 members. The minimum number, let's just say the minimum number for the meeting to proceed is 8. That's the quorum. But then again, if let's say there are only 6 members who are attending the meeting, so which means that there's no, you have not met the minimum number. And so if you still proceed with that meeting, the meeting is considered as invalid, and whatever decisions that you make during that meeting are also considered as invalid. All right, so that's what we call a quorum. That's what a quorum is. Yeah? So you must meet the minimum number. So if the quorum is 8, if the minimum number is 8, then there should be you must meet that number. Yeah? Right. And then through the chair, you notice that when you have any formal meetings or even the informal meeting, right? So when you want to say something, usually you have to go through the chat. So you can say something like, excuse me, Mr. Chairperson. Excuse me, Mr. Chairperson. Excuse me, sir. Excuse me, Mr. Chairperson. So you have to address the chairperson first, right? Rather than indirect exchanges between members. So you address whatever issue that you want through the chair. Mr. Chairperson, may I say something? Mr. Chairperson, can I add something? Right? Okay, so it has to be through the chair. It's a normal practice. For all comments at a formal meeting. So when you want to say something, when you want to add your comments, or when you want to give your opinions, so on and so forth, then you have to make it through the chair. You have to address the chair first. Mr. Chairperson, may I add something? Mr. Chairperson, can I say something? May I interrupt? Something like that, right? Okay. Okay, all right. The last part for ultra bias. I mean, I myself not so sure what ultra bias is because I'm not familiar with this term. Well, it's a legal term. Outside the powers. Decisions or actions that fall beyond the remit of a particular committee. Oh, all right. That's what it is, ultra bias. Okay, so these are some of the terminologies that you need to know, right, for your second assessment. So you might be, what do you call that? I don't think that you will be having, you'll be using a proxy, right? Because all of you will have to attend the assessment, right? So there will be no proxy. And then, yeah, I think, not so sure that you'll be using Notion as well. But anyway, like I said, there are some terms that you need to be familiar with because you will be using some of these terms for your second assessment, especially like through the chair, and then this one just now. Matters arising, minutes, you think you need to know what that is, AOB, right? Agenda and agenda. So these are some of the terms that you need to be familiar with because you'll be using some of these terms in the second assessment. Right. Any question?
Madam,
Yes.
do we need to use all this terminology in our second assignment?
Like I said, some of them.
Some. Oh, all right.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Some
madam.
of them. Yeah. Not all of them. Like ex-official member, I don't think you'll be using that term. Matters arising, yes, because this will, you will have this item in your agenda, matters arising. Okay, all right. Then later we will look at some of the expressions that you can use for your second assessment. Okay. Anything else? The word amendment, I'm sure you are going to be using that term, especially when you're discussing the third item in the agenda, which is minutes of the previous meeting. The chairperson is going to mention something like this. Right, members, I'm sure you have read the minutes of the previous meeting. Are there any amendments? Right? Yeah, not all, but not all, probably some of the times. The word adjournment, right? Chairperson is going to mention, before he closes the meeting, he's going to say, well, thank you all for attending this meeting today. Now the meeting is adjourned. Agenda, obviously, right? So these are the items that we have in our agenda today. So we are going to start with a chairperson's address, and then apologies for absence, rising, special business, any other business. date, time, and venue of the next meeting, and close. Now, so these are the items that we have in our agenda for today. So let's get started with the first one. Apologies for absence. Yeah, something like that. Okay? So you're going to use some of the terms during your second assessment. Okay, right. Let me just close this files. Hmm. Let's see. Let me just show you the procedures. Procedures of a formal meeting. But you know the procedures. I, Let me show you the procedures of a formal meeting. Okay, this is the one. This is oh, it's already 9:30. Okay, all right. Okay, so let me just explain to you about the procedures in a formal meeting. Yeah. So when you have your second assessment, all right, because it's a formal meeting, so you need to follow these procedures. Now, in your agenda, you are going to have these 8 items in your agenda. Okay? Chairperson's address, apologies for absence, minutes of the previous meeting, matters arising, special business, any other business, date, time, and venue of the next meeting, close. As I mentioned just now, the special business, right? Well, that is the main feature of your formal meeting. You call, the meeting is held. The main reason the meeting is held is to discuss the special business. And for the second assessment, the special business will be given on the day of the assessment. You will not know what your special business is until the day of the assessment, right? And on the day of the assessment also, you might be given another matter to be discussed, and it could be either matters arising or any other business. So there will be 2 items that will be given on the day of the assessment. One would be your special business, and the other one would be either matters arising or any other business. Okay? Right, so you only get these items on the day of the assessment. But basically, right, for any formal meeting, these are the procedures that you have to follow, right? So you need to have all these 8 items in your agenda. Right. Now, chairperson's address, basically, it's the opening of the meeting. Again, like the first assessment, I think you need to appoint someone to be the chair. Okay, someone who will lead the discussion or will lead the meeting. So you need to appoint someone to be the chair. And this time around, I think you will also need to appoint someone to be the secretary. Okay. So chairperson's address basically is just the opening of the meeting, and it's going to be done by the chair, right? The chairperson opening the meeting, and then the chairperson greeting the members, and chairperson calling the meeting to order. Now that's another term that you need to be familiar with, calling the meeting to order. Yeah. Basically, what it means is that you're going to start the meeting. So common phrase, a common phrase that you can use would be something like this: "Good morning, everyone. I'm happy to welcome all members to this meeting." Or, "Thank you for coming. We shall now call this meeting to order." We shall now call this meeting to order, meaning we shall now start the meeting. Okay, all right. So that's the chairperson's address. The next one is called apologies for absence. Well, apologies for absence basically is attendance taking the attendance of the attendees, right? So who does this? Well, the secretary usually would be taking the attendance. But basically, well, since it's a very small committee, there are only 5 or 6 of you in the group. I'm sure the chairperson would notice anyone missing, right? But you can create missing members. For example, right? Something like this, right? Let's just say the chairperson says something like this. Well, I can see that everyone is here today. I can see that Sheikh Rahman is not here today, right? Thank you all for coming to this meeting today. But I can see Sheikh Rahman is not here today. Puan Rahmah. Puan Rahmah is the secretary lah. Puan Rahmah, why is Encik Rahman not here today? Did he mention anything to you? Then the secretary, Puan Rahmani, is going to say, yes, yes, Encik Daud. Yes, Mr. Chairperson, right? Encik Rahman cannot make it to our meeting today, cannot be with us today because he's on sick leave, right? Okay, so secretary, with the permission of chairperson, updates the attendance. Okay. And secretary reports the absence with apologies. So whoever is not present, whoever is absent, if you cannot make it, actually, if you cannot make it to the meeting, you're supposed to inform the secretary. Okay, and the secretary will announce the absence of any members during this second item in the agenda, apologies for absence. Okay, so that's attendance taking. Then the next one would be minutes of the previous meeting. In Bahasa, I'm sure you're familiar with this, minit mesyuarat yang lepas. Right, in Bahasa, minit mesyuarat yang lepas. In minutes of the previous meeting. So everyone checks the previous minutes. The secretary, again, all right, is the person responsible in preparing the minutes of the previous meeting and also minutes of the current meeting. Now, the minutes of the previous meeting, it's supposed to be given to the members before attending the current meeting. Yeah, and the members are supposed to be reading the members are supposed to have read the minutes before attending the current meeting. Yeah, all members should read the minutes before attending the meeting. Yeah, read the minutes of the previous meeting before attending it. So for this item in the agenda, minutes of the previous meeting, this is where you can make changes, point out any errors in the minutes. Okay, so for example, the chairperson, when discussing the minutes of the previous meeting, can ask the members, okay, are there any amendments to be made? Are there any amendments to be made to the minutes? And so let's just say, one member points out a correction that needs to be made. For example, something like this. Yes, Mr. Chairperson, I attended the meeting, the previous meeting, but my name is listed under those who are absent. So yeah, and then the chairperson is going to remind the secretary to make the necessary changes. Yeah, okay. Thank you. Madam Secretary, please make the necessary changes. Yeah. Okay. Any other amendments? So you can point out any errors that appear in the minutes of the previous meeting. Right. So once the errors are corrected, then you are going to what is that word? Adopt the minutes of the previous meeting. Meaning to say that you are going to adopt here means you are going to what is that word? You're going to pass the minutes as a true record. Yeah. So the chaplain is going to say, all right, since there are no more amendments to be made, can someone propose that the minutes be passed as a true record? Then someone will have to propose now. I propose that the minutes be passed as a true record. I second that motion. You see, during the academic meeting at my faculty, the one that I mentioned just now, right? So the chairperson, my dean, the chairperson here during that academic meeting would be my dean. So the chairperson is going to say, all right, can someone propose that the minutes be passed? And then one lecturer puts up her hand and say, I propose the minutes be passed. And then there must be a seconder, right? Because it's a formal proposal, right? A formal proposal just now is a motion, right? A motion is a formal proposal made. So I propose that the minutes be passed, and then another lecturer says, I second that motion. Okay. So then only the minutes can be adopted, meaning to say that the minutes can be passed as a true record. That's the whole process. And this is what is happening at my, and this actually, does happen at my faculty, and I'm sure at other faculties as well, when you have your formal meetings. So yeah, so that would be minutes of the previous meeting, making amendments to the minutes of the previous meeting and adopting the minutes of the previous meeting as a true record. Right? That's the third item in the agenda. And then the fourth item is called matters arising. So matters arising, basically, you are actually looking at the minutes of the previous meeting. Once it's adopted, then you can you can look at the minutes again, the minutes of the previous meeting. And now is the time for you to, well, basically, you can ask for clarification of certain matters that were discussed in the previous meeting. In bahasa, it's called hal-hal berbangkit. So we need to say that you're going to look at the minutes of the previous meeting again, right? And then if there are any items listed in the minutes of the previous meeting that you wish to ask for clarification, that you want to open it for discussion again, you can do so. So that comes under matters arising. Okay. Let me just give you an example. All right. Let's just say you're looking at the minutes of the previous meeting, and one of the items listed in the minutes of the previous meeting was, let's just say, mm, okay, let's just say one of the items mentioned, one of the matters, one of the matters mentioned in the minutes of the previous meeting was um, looking for sponsorship for our for one of the events that is going to be held the following month. Okay, so let's just say one of the members in that meeting wants to know updates on that particular matter, right? So let's just say, when the chairperson says, okay, are there any matters arising? Then let's just say one person, puts up his hand and says, yes, yes, Mr. Chairperson, I would like to ask about this matter here, looking for sponsorship, matter 5.1, right? In the minutes of the previous meeting regarding sponsorship for our event next month. So what's the update of this? And so let's just say the person in charge of that particular matter, right, responds. Yes, I would like to respond to that, Mr. Chairperson. Yeah, I have done, I have approached some companies for sponsorship, blah, blah, blah. So the thing is, that's what Matters Arising is all about, So you can, what do you call that? You can ask for clarification. You can, open any matters that were discussed in the previous meeting. You want to open it for further discussion. Yes, you can do so in the matters arising. The next item in the agenda is called special business. Now, special business, as I mentioned earlier, this is the main feature of your meeting, right? You call the meeting specifically to discuss your special business, right? So you are going to have I would say, you're going to have a thorough discussion of your special business. For the assessment, as I mentioned earlier, the special business will be given on the day of the assessment. Okay, right. So the next item in the agenda would be any other business. Now, any other business, as I mentioned earlier, would be any matter not related to your special business. So you can raise some other matters which are not related to your special business. Anything at all. All right. Okay. And then the next one is date, time, and venue of the next meeting. So this is item number 7 in your agenda. So the chairperson is going to ask members when you will be meeting, when you'll be having your next meeting. Yeah. What you're doing is you're planning for the next meeting. So you ask for the members consensus or agreement, when you are going to have the next meeting. So when are we having our next meeting? Is it possible for us to have our next meeting next month on the, let's see, can we have the next meeting on 28th of June? Is that possible? right? Will everyone be ready with the updates? So if everyone agrees to it, yeah, then the chairperson is going to say, okay, it's agreed. Then we are having our next meeting on the 28th of June. Here, same venue, right? At perhaps 10 a.m. Can we start at 10 a.m.? All right. Okay. So that would be the date, time, and venue of the next meeting. And then finally, it's the close. That's the last item. So it's the closure of a meeting. Chairperson ends the meeting. So thank you all for attending this meeting today. I appreciate your participation in the meeting today, right? So I'll see you in the next meeting. The meeting now is adjourned. Have a nice day, everyone. Okay, that's it. Right? So that's the close. So these are the procedures, right, that you're going to have for your second assessment. Mm. Yeah. Okay. Any question to ask? Are there any questions? No
I don't
question?
think so, madam.
Is it clear?
Clear.
Okay, great. Thank you. All right. So what you have to do now is to form your groups. Now, like I mentioned earlier, you can stick to the same group, all right? Or you can form some new ones. It's up to you. Okay. And there will be 6 groups, just like the first assessment. Yeah, just like the first assessment, there will be 6 groups. This time around, we are going to start in week 12, yeah? So 2 groups in week 12, 13, and 14. Yeah. Okay, now, like for the second assessment, right, this is the first part, yeah? This is the first part of the assessment. The second part of the assessment, well, you will be writing minutes of the meeting. Even though you have appointed a secretary, right, to prepare the minutes, for the second part of the assessment, all of you will have to write the minutes. So it's an individual task, just like the first assessment, where you had to write the email. Yeah. So this time around, you're going to write the minutes of the meeting. So it's an individual task as well. So that will be the second part of the assessment. And you will be given 30 minutes to write the minutes. And because the formal meeting is conducted in class, it's face to face, then you will have to write the minutes in class as well. After 30 minutes, you have to submit it's pen and paper test, basically. It's a pen and paper test. So you will write the minutes in class, it's handwritten. So after 30 minutes, you just submit the paper to me. Okay, right? So we will discuss in our next class how to write the minutes. And hopefully in week 11, we can have the practice. I think this time around, you need to have a practice before you have your assessment. Because it's a bit different, right? From the first assessment. Yeah. Okay, so if you don't have any questions, so I'll see you after the break. You're having your special break next week. So when you come back, it's week 10. So we have 2 more weeks after you come back, right? So we have 2 more weeks to discuss this. Before you have your assessment. So make sure that you don't miss the next 2 classes, because I'll be explaining to you how to write the minutes, and then you're going to have your practice. Okay, right. So I'll be meeting you face to face, in class after the break. So I think that's about it for today. Don't forget your attendance on your future, and enjoy your break, everyone. Have a nice one. Take care, everyone. Yeah. And for those of you who are celebrating Hari Raya Haji next week, we are celebrating it on Saturday, right? We're having our Hari Raya Haji, yeah, right? Next Saturday. Yeah. So, Eid Mubarak, Selamat Hari Raya Haji. Selamat Hari Raya Haji. Yeah. Okay. Fine. So thank you all. Assalamualaikum. Have a nice break, everyone, and have a nice day today. Bye.
Thank you,
Assalamualaikum,
madam.
selamat hari raya.
Right.